Do you all remember Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi's super tough declaration? If Taiwan is in trouble, Japan is in trouble. In the current tense situation, this is tantamount to laying bare the truth, showing absolutely no face to the CCP. Understandably, the CCP's fragile ego shattered once again. The Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs and its embassies and consulates in Japan seemed impatient, simultaneously issuing notices late on November 14, 2025, advising Chinese citizens to avoid traveling to Japan in the near future. Following this, Beijing officially announced that over 540,000 tickets to Japan have been cancelled and the refund wave continues. Air China and other airlines have also reduced flights between China and Japan. On social media, many Chinese internet celebrities are also urging people not to travel to Japan recently. However, the online world is never short of dissenting voices. Some netizens' reactions left even the pro-CCP bloggers dumbfounded because they seem completely unwilling to follow the CCP's official line. Would you be willing to cancel your travel plans to Japan? Many people around me have already cancelled, but I have also seen comments online like, making a fuss over nothing, there are too many suggestions like this, just ignore them. Are there really people who won't go to Japan because of this suggestion? This immediately piqued my interest. The comments on the video were particularly amusing as the blogger analyzed the current situation. When have you ever seen the Ministry of Foreign Affairs remind Chinese citizens to avoid going to Japan? Before this, at most, they would remind Chinese citizens to be careful about their personal safety in Japan because of the high crime rate there. Now, the situation has become so serious that they are reminding us to avoid going to Japan. With the current tense relations between China and Japan, do you think it's really as safe as before to travel to Japan? The comments section showed different opinions from netizens. Several times right, many times, the next step is no problem. High crime rate in Japan? Isn't Wongsakon over there? Celebrities love going there because of the goods. So many rich people around the world are buying real estate in Japan. Going to Cambodia. Some sarcastically commented, 3 more days have passed, how much longer do we have to wait for the evacuation? Hurry up. Don't worry, nothing will happen. No war this year. Will airfares be cheaper during the Lunar New Year? I'm so looking forward to it. 490,000 tickets were cancelled, 540,000 tickets were refunded, and 11.5 billion evaporated directly. So, after Chinese tourists stop going to Japan, can they survive on their own? Let's look at some data. Of every 42 cents of tourism revenue Japan earns, 14 cents come from us, and over 40% of foreign tourists to Hokkaido, Okinawa, and Kyoto are from China. Furthermore, 71% of Japan's high-end luxury goods consumption comes from us. This blogger spoke excitedly, but reality is a slap in the face for the CCP. On November 30th, veteran media personality Akio Yata posted on Facebook citing an article in the Japanese magazine Weekly Diamond, stating that Japanese media personality Ayoshiko Furumai residing in China pointed out, rather than punishing Japan, it's more accurate to say that the Chinese government is punishing its own companies and people. The article revealed that the cancellation of 540,000 tickets was actually the result of government instructions. Because most of China's major airlines and travel agencies are state-owned enterprises, all bookings for group tours to Japan were cancelled without compensation, with just a word from the government. The problem is, who absorbs these losses? Not Japan, but Chinese state-owned enterprises and Chinese tourists forced to cancel their tours. Moreover, this 540,000 tickets that the CCP is so proud of seems like an astonishing number, but when converted into passengers, it amounts to approximately 270,000 people. Compared to the latest data released by the Japan National Tourism Organization, from January to October this year, the number of Chinese visitors to Japan reached 8.2 million, averaging 820,000 per month. These 270,000 tourists are simply not enough to cause a significant impact. Moreover, with the recent increase in foreign tourists to Japan, major tourist attractions are showing signs of overcapacity. A reduction of 270,000 visitors provides a much-needed respite. According to a report in Japan, Sankai Shinbum Iwasaki Kai, a rickshaw puller in front of Kaminariman Gate in Asuka, Tokyo, said that previously about 30% of his customers were Chinese. but now those Chinese are gone, replaced by more customers from Europe, America, and Southeast Asia. He added in a statement that stung the CCP, "My income hasn't changed much." An employee at the popular Japanese dessert shop Miyuyama Koma said that previously most of their customers were Chinese, but recently there has been an increase in Koreans and Westerners. Furthermore, tourists from other countries and students on school trips are queuing up. Even many Chinese netizens are not buying it, saying things like, "Those who want to go will still go, they can't just transfer." They said if Chinese people don't come, people from other countries will, and the Chinese people will still go. Can't we show some pride? And the biggest losers are Chinese airlines. Japan Airlines is flying normally, and its load factor is even higher. The CCP authorities have consistently used economic leverage to coerce countries that disagree with them. On November 29th, CCTV Finance, the official CCP media outlet, stated that the Chinese tourists are turning to neighboring countries like Russia, Thailand, and Singapore, emphasizing that this has caused collective anxiety in Japan's domestic tourism industry. They couldn't hide their excitement, claiming that about 40% of individual travel bookings to Japan have been cancelled, and almost all Chinese group tours to Japan have been cancelled, etc. But netizens offered a poignant question. Why only 40%? Shouldn't it be all? It seems the party's appeal is ultimately limited. Leaving aside whether the 40% cancellation figure is inflated, there are still 60% of people who are still traveling to Japan. According to Japan's Sankei Shinbun, the Kansai region, which has been hardest hit, has seen many Chinese tour groups cancel their trips. However, many hotel operators in Tokyo confirm that they have not yet been greatly affected. The Chinese Communist Party's tactic of playing the patriotism card is outdated. After all, the 3-year lockdown during the pandemic has made some Japanese hotels reliant on Chinese tourists. Fujita, the owner of the Tokyo Shinzanso Hotel and the Washington Hotel, stated that there has not been a major impact yet because of the decline in Chinese tourists during the pandemic. He has expanded his business to Europe, the US, and Australia. It seems that in this round of competition in the Sino-Japanese tourism industry, only the CCP, which loudly proclaims keeping pace with the times, but truly fails to grasp the international situation and external changes, it's truly shooting itself in the foot. It must be said that although the CCP's actions have indeed reduced the number of Chinese tourists visiting Japan, they have also made some Chinese people aware of the different attitudes towards them by Chinese travel companies and Japanese hotels. After a large number of tourists canceled their trips to Japan, they face the awkward situation of getting refunds, and I must say some platforms are behaving extremely unethically. According to Chen Na, a travel agency salesperson at Phoenix Finance, in just a few days her agency had already had 50 to 60 tourists cancel their trips to Japan. This number accounts for about 80% of the tourists her agency has recently received for trips to Japan. Chen Na said that the travel agency's hotel bookings are divided into two types. One is directly contacting Japanese hotels, and the other is through domestic platforms. She found that orders booked directly with Japanese hotels, even if cancelled within 10 days of departure, mostly resulted in smooth refunds. However, orders booked through domestic platforms were relatively difficult to get refunds for. This is because the platforms stipulate that the hotel fees must be collected 15 days in advance. But Japanese hotels do not lock in fees that early. Chen Na stated that she repeatedly communicated with the domestic platform regarding refunds, but the platform replied that negotiations with the supplier have been unsuccessful and refused to refund. She had no choice but to contact Japanese hotels directly and told the Chinese platform that the supplies, Japanese hotels, already agreed to a refund. Then the platforms offer refunds. Phoenix Weekly revealed that several Chinese consumers complained on social media about the difficulty of obtaining refunds through the Tongcheng travel platform. One consumer said that they had booked 2 Japanese hotels through Tongcheng Travel and informed Tongcheng when canceling their trip, but were told on November 21st that the Japanese hotels would not agree to a refund. The consumer immediately emailed one of the Japanese hotels that day and received a reply the next day saying cancellation was permitted. The consumer questioned how Tongcheng contacted the Japanese hotels. Furthermore, another Chinese consumer said that when canceling their flight to Japan, Tongcheng customer service induced them to switch to a voluntary refund, deducting approximately $60 in processing fees. The blogger stated that both tourists and platforms suffer losses, but the platform cannot use the tourist losses to compensate for its own. It can be said that the CCP's incitement of its citizens to cancel trips to Japan is like a mirror, revealing the true nature of those Chinese people who were swayed by so-called national sentiment and national righteousness in the face of cold reality. While the actions of Chinese travel companies trying to compensate for their own losses with tourist losses are certainly displeasing, the CCP authorities are the ones responsible for these losses. One netizen aptly pointed out, "This should be borne by the state, why should it be borne by companies and individuals?" This succinctly reveals that both travel companies and tourists are victims of the CCP authorities' incitement of anti-Japanese sentiment. Others stated, if individuals decided to cancel themselves, they should be responsible. Whoever instigated the cancellation should be responsible. So, who instigated the public to cancel trips to Japan? It was the CCP. The CCP even smugly claimed on CCTV that over 540,000 tickets to Japan had been cancelled, and they were happy to see more cancellations. The implication is that the financial losses suffered by Chinese airlines, travel agencies, and tourists are irrelevant to the CCP. This is not a concern for them. As long as the party's face is preserved and the damage to the Japanese tourism industry is severe enough to put pressure on the Japanese authorities, that's all that matters. The CCP authorities are sparing no effort in using state media to badmouth the Japanese tourism industry. CCTV, the CCP mouthpiece, gleefully claimed that in December, over 40% of planned flights from China to Japan were cancelled, totaling over 1,900 flights. Passenger volume on November 25th was approximately 23% lower than on November 15th. Furthermore, a Japan alternative trend is emerging. According to data from the Tongcheng travel platform, hotel bookings in South Korea increased by 240% year-on-year in the last 2 weeks of November, while hotel bookings in Southeast Asian destinations such as Vietnam and Indonesia also saw year-on-year increases of over 100%. Hotel bookings in Germany and Spain increased by over 300% year-on-year, and hotel bookings in Denmark and Switzerland saw year-on-year increases of over 200%. Watching CCTV's enthusiastic commentary, it's baffling that the CCP authorities are putting so much effort into interfering with Chinese citizens' travel to Japan. Given China's severe economic downturn and the sluggishness of many industries, why do so many relatively well-off Chinese prefer to travel to Europe rather than visit domestic tourist attractions? Simply put, isn't it because Chinese people dislike China's tourism environment? Instead of addressing the long-standing problems in the domestic tourism industry, the CCP authorities are boasting about the increase in Chinese people's enthusiasm for overseas travel, which is a self-contradiction. The CCP authorities not only vehemently incite Chinese people not to travel to Japan, but also rudely interrupt and even cancel Japanese singers' concerts. On November 28, 2025, Japanese singer Maki Atsuki held a Bandai Namco Festival concert in Shanghai. While she was passionately singing the ending theme song Memories from the anime One Piece and the fans were fully engaged, an outrageous scene unfolded. The music was suddenly and forcibly turned off. The stage screen and lights all went out with a snap. When the lights came back on, 2 staff members went on stage to inform her that the performance was over, took her microphone, and led the wide-eyed, stunned Atsuki Maki away from the stage. The entire scene left the audience dumbfounded. No way, how come? Look at him, a clean cut, a clean cut, a clean cut. Ah, a clean cut across all of China. This is happening right here. The fans were extremely shocked. Many in the front rows were still standing there, mouths agape. Although the event organizers later explained that the performance was cancelled due to force majeure, outside observers questioned whether the CCP was behind it. Taiwanese artist Yang Lai said, "It seems only China would do something like this." On November 28th, Japanese pop diva Ayumi Hamasaki performed at the Shanghai Pudong Development Bank Oriental Sports Center. The concert was also abruptly cancelled. Moreover, 14,000 fans who had already arrived in Shanghai complained that their hotel reservations were in vain and they couldn't get refunds. It's reported that a team of 200 staff members from China and Japan spent 5 days setting up the stage for the concert on the 29th, only to have it cancelled at the last minute due to force majeure. However, Ayumi Hamasaki and her team made a bold decision to hold the concert on schedule despite the empty venue, recording the entire event and planning to release the recording at an appropriate time. Late on the 29th, she posted on social media, "After receiving the request to cancel the concert yesterday, we sang from the first song to the encore without an audience before leaving the venue." Hamasaki shared photos of the performance and her bowing with the staff on Facebook and Instagram, captioning it, "Facing 14,000 empty seats, I felt the overflowing love from fans all over the world. This is one of my most unforgettable performances." The photos show Hamasaki fully dressed, changing outfits 6 times throughout the show, including a costume embroidered with Shanghai. Confetti filled the stage, lights shone brightly, and the ensemble dance performance was captivating. After the encore, she bowed 3 times at a 90-degree angle, saying thank you 3 times to the air. Moved by the performance, netizens commented, "The CCP, the yellow Russian dog, has once again disgraced the world. I admire the star. This is a great comfort to the audience who couldn't attend, and a resounding slap in the face to the CCP's closure of the venue. Ayumi Hamasaki truly is a diva. I used to just think of her as a very big star. Now I genuinely respect her. Details determine success or failure. Japan is truly powerful. Ayumi Hamasaki is its spokesperson, a remarkable artist." Meanwhile, the CCP has resorted to blatant interference and feigning ignorance to shirk responsibility. On December 1st, a foreign journalist asked at a Chinese Foreign Ministry press conference about the interruption and cancellation of concerts by 2 Japanese singers in Shanghai. "Can the spokesperson confirm these reports? What is your comment?" Spokesperson Lin Jian deflected the question, saying, "For the specific details and reasons regarding these social and commercial activities, I suggest you contact the organizers." Although the response was merely a curt one, the CCP not only lost face but also suffered a substantial loss. According to a report by Taiwan's Yiping News Network, the Chinese organizers were the hardest hit in the CCP manipulated boycott of Japanese celebrities. They had to refund ticket money to audiences and had already incurred expenses for venue rental, celebrity airfare and hotel accommodations, equipment transportation, stage construction, and promotion. Without revenue to offset these costs, they would incur losses. A reporter from Yiping News Network learned that when Japanese artists perform in China, the organizers typically pay 30% of the performance fee upfront after the artist confirms their participation, and the remaining 40% upon signing the contract. Essentially, the Japanese artists receive payment before even arriving in China. Now that the CCP has suddenly cancelled the Japanese singers' performances, the Chinese organizers are going to lose everything. Some netizens commented, "The CCP is like a useless man in a movie. He takes his anger out on his wife and children when he's upset outside and will never gain the world's approval." It seems the CCP authorities intended to suppress the Japanese tourism industry and vent their anger by cancelling Japanese singers' concerts. But instead, they not only incurred widespread condemnation, but also exposed the ugly face of the CCP authorities to the world and the Chinese people. Moreover, they failed to affect Japanese tourism business and instead became a laughingstock worldwide. As one netizen commented, "I wonder what Taiwanese people think about this. The Communist Party is not only stupid and evil, but also extremely petty, harvesting organs from its own people and sacrificing artists. Civilization and barbarity, good and evil, form a stark contrast. The CCP has once again made itself infamous worldwide." That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.